So I'm here today to talk to you about the future of self-regulation in crypto. My name's Eric Turner, and I am the Director of Research at Messari. We are a startup that is building an open data library for the crypto asset industry, kind of what it says there. So what's wrong with crypto today? The tech's exciting, but the markets are very frothy. I haven't looked at Blockfolio today, but maybe we're in a bear market, maybe a bull market, I don't know. There's also a general lack of transparency. So unlike traditional markets, there are no reporting requirements for projects. There's a lack of rationality. Most of the time when people are buying tokens, they're really thinking, who can I sell this to in the future? Can I sell it to a greater fool? And there's a lack of data standards. So really the question is, how do we create these data standards for a global asset class that currently is in many places unregulated? So obviously, I think the elephant in the room is the US, and we've seen, you probably saw the Senate hearing with CFTC and SEC commissioners. And the interesting thing that the SEC has been saying is they think there are opportunities for kind of self-regulation within the industry, and the CFTC has mirrored these thoughts as well. Can we clean up the industry before there's the need for an enforcement action? And that really starts with better data. So currently, a lot of what I would consider to be the fundamentals in the crypto asset space are driven by non-public information. So right now, the investment drivers, we're thinking who else is investing, who's advising. Really, in the future, you want to think, what's my dilution or what's my reason for holding this further? And that's going to shift the sentiment to fundamentals. For data transparency, we basically get stuck many times with a white paper and a token address. Here's what we're doing, here's how to give us money. That's really it. In the future, that really should be, are the insiders selling? Are the people running this project or the people that advise the project, are they selling their tokens, and why are they selling their tokens? Did promoters get a discount? If you saw some advertising or you saw someone mention this token offering, did they get paid to do that? And do they still hold these tokens? And that's basically the trend is demand for improved data reporting standards. And then the last thing is legal accountability. And I think this is going to come forward in a lot of different ways. But, right now we consider tokens to maybe be donations. Everything's built on good faith efforts. In the future, this is already a big conversation, but in the future, it's going to be driven by governance or token equity. Do you actually own part of the network if you're a token holder? And that's going to create new token holder rights and residual claims. So our idea is really where Messari wants to sit is on the bottom as an open data layer, free for anybody in the industry to use, collecting all of this fundamental information, starting with maybe something as simple as what is the legal name for this project? Where are they domiciled? Who is the team? Who are the advisors? Growing from there to how is the supply distributed over time? What is the actual fully diluted supply in the future? Are there lockups? Are there vesting schedules? What is the treasury policy, monetary policy, audit schedule, all of these things? And with this sitting at the bottom, we can build everything else above it. So we have multiple partners, people that we would consider part of the Messari community, researchers, advisors, exchanges, data providers, auditors, listing services, trade groups, basically anybody who ever needs to know any information, fundamental information about a token project would benefit from what we're building at Messari. And the way we want to do this is based on what we consider our NOVA principles. So this data really should be non-controversial, should be already available, have low standalone value, so something that we could easily collect and it will benefit many people, but it's not necessarily something that alone is valuable. It should be objective, so it should be definable and measurable. And everything we do really should have a bias towards quantitative. So we're not here to make qualitative decisions. It should be verifiable, so it should be easy to source and relatively static, but it also should be easy to update if we need to, and we should know when it changes. And it should be actionable. So the data that we're collecting has a clear need for aggregation and is material to the price of a token. And just a little shout out, we announced our seed round a couple weeks ago, so we have a lot of great investors. The reason part of the reason we went out and did this round was to help build the early community. So we consider all of our investors to be our early supporters to help us build this community and help us push our mission forward. And right now, just to give you an idea of our plan, we start kind of with a Crunchbase, sourcing all of this data. We have a big army of volunteer analysts, actually, that are helping us do this, people within the industry. And that's kind of going to get us to 75% of the data that we want to have. The next step is kind of, you can consider it like an Edgar database. So we open it up where people can self-disclose information, projects can self-disclose with an easy, streamlined application process. So we move from that 75% to that 90%. And then in the end, we have real-time updates. We have the projects working directly with Messari. So we go from Edgar kind of to enhanced Edgar, and that's our 100% data quality. So right now, we're in the Crunchbase phase, moving towards the Edgar phase, and hopefully later this year, we'll be at that 100% that we really want to be at. And that's it. Thank you, everybody.